What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about our boat hatch. Alright, so boat hatch in a van. A little different, huh? Yeah, a little custom, nice touch, sweet. Let's talk a little bit today about how to do so. So jumping right into it, I'm going to follow along with the video here so I can keep up with it. But it's very similar to installing, your fan, Max Air fan, Fantastic fan, whatever you decided to go with. And you don't have any templates, and this is a little odd design. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and start by laying down your boat hatch and go ahead and outline with a pencil. So making an outline on the inside with your pencil will give you an initial area to cut, so that way you don't cut too big, and then you can start trimming away from there. Then you're going to start with a smaller drill bit, punch you a few holes in the corners, and step up to a larger drill bit, so that way you can use that bigger hole to get your jigsaw blade down in there. And remember, we're cutting into a very thin metal, so use a fine blade on your jigsaw so that way you don't have a lot of vibrations and mess your paint up. To help with the cleanup, go ahead and attach a garbage bag to the bottom of where your hole is going to be. I did this after I punched my holes up top, so that way I had an idea of where that's going to line up when I'm cutting, so I don't accidentally hit my bag, knock it all down, and then it was all for nothing. So after you make your initial cut with your jigsaw, go ahead and take your magnet with the sock on the end, run that over the van, try to pick up any of the shavings you have, and get that cleared out of the way. Because the last thing you want to do is be moving around with your knees up there and end up cutting yourself. So you notice here it was obviously cut a little bit too small, and now you're just going to go over it with another pencil and slowly start trimming away after that. Be very delicate with this process, because the last thing you want to do is cut a hole too big. You can always take the time and make sure that your cuts are super small, so that way you can get as close to accurate as possible. Now once you've taken the time to make sure your cuts are almost perfect, you'll see that your boat hatch slips down there really nicely. Now if you take a look at the video there, pull it up to the right while I'm talking, so you'll see what we cut in a section. That way your two end pieces will run smooth on one of those ribs. And this is also a section of the van that's going to be right underneath where our head is on the bed. So we're going to use this as a way to get up onto our roof deck later, instead of having a ladder on the outside. After that, you want to go ahead and start marking your holes of where you're going to need to punch some holes to put your screws in. Go ahead and be careful here and start punching your holes out, but go ahead and wear a glove and support the metal around the sides, because you will have to push down a good bit and you don't want to bend the metal here. Make sure you file down any of the edges and get them nice and smooth. And then after that, you want to go ahead and paint the lip all the way around, as well as getting the holes that you drilled. You don't want any rust popping up in your van light. So here you'll notice that to support the ribs on the roof, I took up some pieces of wood and shaved them down, and I fit them in these slots here. And you'll see that obviously I'd already installed it here, but before I bolted that in, I slipped those inserts up in there, and that just really helps support the ribs so they don't like smush flush or you have anything getting bent out of whack. So this is where it gets interesting. So depending on where you decide to install this boat hatch, you're going to have ribs in certain parts where you're going to put that wood piece up, so that way when you're screwing your screws down, that you actually have support in those ribs. And you'll see here that I went and used cardboard and a measuring tape, and it took quite a few different trial and errors, and I really don't have a best way to go about doing it, but we ended up getting it pretty spot on, and these fit right up into the grooves and supported the ribs when we screwed our boat hatch down. So once you get your pieces of wood made, you want to go ahead and get back on top and get your butyl tape out. This is the same butyl tape that we used for the Max Air fan. And what we did is we triple or quadruple layered the ribs here. And so we're going to make that packed with this putty all the way flush with the ribs. And then after that, you're going to lay a nice solid piece all the way around on top of that. And this just forms a solid barrier that will kind of smush down and with the heat kind of form together. And once you do that, we went ahead and put some butyl tape on the inside groove of of the actual boat hatch, so that way when it slips down in the hole, it kind of forms a seal along the edge there. Now you can overdo the butyl tape. You want to be careful not to put too much where it's off even in some areas, because that could lead to one side being bowed a little bit more than the other and could lead to leaks. So just make sure that when you're applying it even. It's kind of smooth all the way around, and there's not going to be any weird places that are just sticking out further than the other. And once you got that on, go ahead and lay your boat hatch down on your bed of butyl tape. Another thing is here in the front section, you'll notice that we didn't use a wood piece because we actually had a support beam running across under that section. So we ended up using, it had 3 holes, so we ended up using bolts instead. We ran those right down through that support beam. It was right there on the edge, and we just ran self-locking nuts, I believe, on the bottom of those, so that way they won't come undone ever. It'll keep you from any vibrations or something that would happen in a van, keep those bolts from coming loose. Now you'll see that I'm using my hand strength to actually support and hold the wooden piece from the bottom, while Paige drills pilot holes from the top, so that way we don't split our wood. And then once you do that, you want to be very gentle and slowly run these screws into the wood. And you'll see here where the support beam is that we were tightening in those bolts on. After that, you want to take a scraper and go ahead and start scraping away the leftover butyl tape. But make sure you don't pull any of the excess out from underneath the boat hatch. You want to make sure there's still a seam there. And after you get all the excess butyl tape away, go ahead and take some of your self-leveling Dicor RV product that we use for our Max Air fan, and go ahead and start giving you a healthy coating all the way around there. And I made sure, you'll see it kind of fall into place. You'll see that I put a heavy amount right there where the ribs were. And again, don't forget your screws or your bolts. You want to make sure that you're not going to have anything rust or anything eventually. So guys, hope you enjoyed this video. This is on the boat hatch. So if you have any questions, this is a little of a different project compared to what people normally put in vans. There was a few different options, from the Hitched Sunlight to some people just using windows up top, to what we saw was the boat hatch. I wanted to use the boat hatch because really it's meant for marine purposes, so you know it's going to be good and nice and watertight. It has locks on the inside, which I found that was really important. And honestly, the Hitched product was significantly more expensive. This ran us about $350, where the Hitched can run anywhere from $650 to $800, and I think you have to get the $800 one to get a size where you can actually climb through it. And the entire thing is made out of plastic. So there was a lot of bad reviews as far as like over time, it just slowly rotting and ends up cracking and breaking. So we went with the boat hatch because it's mostly full aluminum and some tempered glass. Lasts a lot longer compared to other plastic products. So if you like this video, please give it a like, subscribe if you want to continue to see more videos coming along on our van. If you have any comments or any questions, go ahead and leave those down below and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Thanks guys, have a good one.